said, I lead the DevRel team here at Planet Labs. And what I want to talk to you all about today is my experience working remote. So I've been working remotely both here at Planet and prior to Planet for about 5 or 6 years. So about 3 years here at Planet and then a couple different companies before. So along the way, I've had to pick up some new habits, some new practices and ways of working in order to make my stay in Remotesville as a remote employee sustainable. So tonight I just wanted to share some of those tips with you and go through them really quick. I want to give you a starting point, not so much teach you everything, but a starting point you can reference if you're also somewhere at the beginning of this journey. I know a lot of us are, especially in the last couple months, so it's a topic that we've all been talking about. And this, if you ask somebody for their one tip for working remotely, this one is probably what you'll hear most of. Establish a routine, make sure you have a routine. So I'm putting this first because it is so common that you'll hear it. I have a couple things I'll mention after this, less common, but I do think that this is important. But something important to notice here is that word new, because I'm talking about establishing a new routine. You need to develop some new routine that works for you because this isn't the same as your pre-Remotesville routine. Your life is no longer in the same patterns. You're not going to get up in the morning and pack a lunch, probably. You're not going to get in your car, stop at the gas station on the way. You're probably not even going to put your shoes on in the morning. So it's a completely different scenario, which means it's going to take a different routine. But routines are still important because our brains can be stupid and we want to trick them. A routine helps you trick your brain into understanding that we're getting ready for work, we're going to work, we're no longer sitting at home in bed, it's not the weekend, it's still a weekday. So taking that time to get dressed in the morning, do your hair, put on something that makes you feel powerful and professional, it really helps separate that situation in your head between home and work. So build in a morning routine that takes care of you. Maybe do some yoga, meditate, go for a run, whatever it takes to establish that new routine. But some other things that people don't necessarily talk about. So a friend of mine shared this concept with me a couple months ago, and I really loved it, so I had to stick it in here. Teach yourself and give yourself permission to put your body first. So what I really mean by this is a lot of times when we're working solo at home, it can become really easy to just stop listening to our body's needs. If we're not changing what we're doing or interacting with other people, if we're just sitting at our desks for 8 hours a day with our cat or our dog sitting under the desk, then you can really start ignoring your own body's needs. So if you catch yourself feeling out of sorts or not able to get into that workflow like you usually do, or just feeling like something's wrong or you keep beating your head against the same bug for 10 minutes, take a minute and check in with yourself. See if there's some body's needs that you've been ignoring. Did you skip lunch? Have you not stood up from your desk for 4 hours? Since you don't have like a water cooler to walk towards, maybe you forgot to get a drink of water. Hydration is important, but just take a moment, check in with yourself, because a lot of times the ways that we're feeling are actually directly related to ignoring what our body's asking for. And similarly, talking about stepping away from your desk, when you're working remotely, you really have to make space for scene changes. If you're in an office, many times a day, you're going to get up, you're going to go to a conference room, you're going to go visit your coworker's desk, you're going to go to somebody else's desk and ask to see what they're working on. You've got all these opportunities to change your scene. But when you're working at home, you don't have those opportunities anymore. So you have to deliberately make space for them. Schedule them into your daily routine. Maybe you're going to take your dog for a walk for a half hour every afternoon. Put that on your work calendar. Or maybe every Monday morning you water all your plants. Put that on your calendar. Put dancing breaks on your calendar. I have friends that do that and I love it. You're working remotely though. Your schedule can be flexible. Maybe you can do a yoga class at 1 p.m. Maybe you have the freedom to do that. But you have to deliberately seek out those opportunities to change your scene. Similarly, you have to seek out connection. You really have to rethink what it means to make connection. If you're working remotely, like I said, you don't have those coworkers' desks to walk to. You don't have a water cooler. You don't have a break room to go make a cup of coffee or grab your lunch and heat it up. You don't have those natural opportunities for connection. So as a Remotesville citizen, you need to be deliberate and intentional about this. You have to, instead of just telling a coworker on Slack, hey, we should get coffee sometime, you should send them a calendar invite for 2 p.m. on Wednesday and say, hey, I'm going to be on Zoom having coffee. Let's chat. Make it an intentional and easy way for them to accept and say, yeah, let's connect. Find opportunities to network. Find a network of other people working remotely, whether it's at your current company or friends that you know who are at different companies. And if you don't have a network already and you can't find one, maybe that's a perfect time for you to make your own. Something that's really great that we sort of overlook in remote work is co-working. It can be really great to just co-work with somebody. And I don't mean an active Zoom chat, like a coffee break where you're talking back and forth, but maybe you just open a video call with a coworker and you guys just sit there in silence doing your own work together, and it's really companionable. So rethinking what we mean when we're thinking about human connection and then being deliberate and intentional about it is what's going to make that remote work environment more sustainable. Something to watch for is to beware about the creeping attraction of home comforts. So if you're working in Remotesville, you've got a comfy couch, you've got a comfy bed, you've got all of the comforts of home. But I strongly recommend that you don't work from your bed. So I know Deanna is going to talk to us later about satellite operations from bed, and I totally fully endorse that. I think that's awesome. But what I mean when I say don't work from bed is don't make this your normal Monday to Friday 9 to 5 office space. You need to, like I said, brains are stupid. You need to trick your brain into understanding home versus workspace. You have to use sensory cues to signal that difference. You have to let yourself close an office door at the end of the day. So maybe you don't actually have an office at your house, but you have to mentally be able to close that door. If you're working from your bed all day, it's super comfortable, it's awesome, maybe you're even really productive. But then the problem comes when it's time to go to bed and you want to sleep, but your brain is like, oh, this is where I've been working all day. So you start thinking about work again, and your brain starts turning the last problem you're working on over in your head. And it's really difficult to have that isolation. So maybe at home you don't have a lot of space. Maybe you're working from your dining table. That was me for the first 2 years of my remote career. But something you could do is put a lamp on that table and turn that lamp on only when you're working. And when you're done working, the lamp's off. Little stuff like that, those sensory cues can really make a difference in being able to mentally close that office door. But I've given you a lot of advice, and I do want you to remember these are interesting times where we're living through right now. This isn't the normal time that you would be switching to working remote in tech. So give yourself permission to practice a little self-compassion and be kind to yourself. But also be honest, because compassion doesn't mean lying to yourself. So if you forget to step away from your desk for 8 hours, or maybe you failed to put anything besides coffee and LaCroix in your body since 8 a.m. today, it's okay. But it's important to be honest and name that and understand that it happened, and then just try again tomorrow. You understand that it's important to listen to your body, to stay hydrated, to take those opportunities for scene change, and just try again tomorrow. So try to create a routine that works for you, a new routine. You're not going to make your old routine work here. Take breaks, remember to move around, listen to your body and brain's needs. Intentionally seek out human connection and make invitations to people that are easy to act upon, that are not passive. And don't let a comfort creep overtake you. Try not to work from bed all day, every day. Don't ignore your body and your brain's needs. Don't skip meals. It's okay to take a break and step away from your desk, but above all, don't be too hard on yourself. So I don't know if we have time for Q&A. I would love to take questions if I can, but otherwise that's my contact info. I would love to hear from any and all of you.
All be stars. I said that tonight. We could all be stars. I said that tonight. We could all be stars. I said that tonight. We could all be stars.